analyzed using inductive, holistic, and narrative strategies rather than through statistical methods. Qualitative analysis does not begin with converting the data to numerical form. At times, numbers may be used to document how many individuals expressed a particular view or meaning. So, you know the three levels of measurement, right? Categorical, nominal, ordinal ratio. Please explain. Integer will do, you don't have to go to ratio, one of them. So, what is categorical data? Names, right? If we have just two categories, they are dichotomous. So categorical is just about names, states, cities, etc. If we have numbers to describe those categories, they could be nominal. Our Aadhaar number. Aadhaar number has no order. Somebody's Aadhaar number is 1 lakh and somebody's is 2 lakh. Does not mean that 2 lakh is more or one. This number means number. Ordinal, they are ranked. Integers, numbers, continuous. They can be continuous and they can be discrete. Likert scales are numbers. What do we? I'm sure everyone has heard of Likert scales. MS students, have you heard of Likert scales? MS students, have you heard of Likert scales? Likert, Likert scales. If no, you can say no. Can any one of our teachers explain Likert scales to these young girls who are looking very serious? Any one of you, Likert scales? Any one of you from front two benches?
So it is basically.
Explain to them.
It's basically rating, like 1 to 10, something like strongly agree, strongly disagree, like that.
Yeah, so they're words, but they're regarded as numbers.
Yes.
Shah Rukh Khan is an atrocious actor. Strongly agree, neither agree nor disagree. Disagree, strongly disagree. Am I clear? I'm not saying something, I'm asking you. And you are giving me the answer. What we do there is we convert these beliefs into numbers. And we regard them as numerical figures so that we can do statistics on that. Tell me yes or no, students. Clear? So there we convert ideas into numbers. Here we don't convert them into numbers. Here we are only converting them into codes. We are converting them into themes. Yes or no?
Yes.
Am I clear?
Yes.
And if we give some number, it is just as a unique idea or something. The number doesn't make any statistical sense. So this is what I wanted to emphasize here. Here we do not convert words into numbers. Words are important. They are either transcripts or field notes or documents or what people are talking or whatever. Or what you're recording, your own ideas, your own thoughts. You have a thing known as autoethnography. That is also something. So you're only talking about your own ideas, your own histories. Numbers may be used to document, but it's not important. At times you might have frequency and all that, but just about it. Am I clear about that? So just again to emphasize, the philosophy is different. While listening to and transcribing an interview or in expanding a rough field notes, researchers typically write about their reactions, interpretations, and ideas for further analysis. This is what I mean by these analytic memos are a form of analysis, recording the researcher's thinking about how to make sense of the data. That's very important, that while I am doing the research, I am writing down my own thought process that I correlate because of this. I think there is a relation between them. I think this opposes that or whatever. This is memo writing, this carries on there. There is a special place for memo writing in Atlas.ti. And that's why I prefer this, because many others they don't have that space. Because your own thoughts, your own ideas are going to help you write the document at the end. What you are thinking at that point of time, you might not remember later whether those relations are there. So that's why comments, annotations, memos, they are an important part of the research process. Agree, yes or no?
Yes.
That this is why I coded this. I think there's a relation between this. I think this is very, very antisocial, or this is very, very coherent, or something or whatever. Your ideas, no judgment. Your ideas are being recorded. Does it make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Because we're going to talk on memos just tomorrow morning. In fact, when I show you the interface this evening, you'll see that there are memos there. So memo writing is a part of the research process. You're recording your own thoughts, your own interpretation. Because we've said at the beginning that the personality of the researcher is what matters. Am I clear? The most prevalent form of qualitative analysis is coding. But the purpose of this coding is Bharat and Shankar, are you listening? Are you? Bharat is there? Yes, and Shankar, how about today? Vinayak, Bharat and Vinayak, right? Does it make sense? Yes or no? Okay, do ask me. I mean, unless you participate, it will become very heavy on you. So make sure you learn how to enjoy this. This will probably be useful. We are trying to pack in many things. 3 days looks a lot, but it's not actually a lot. There's much that has to be discussed. That's why we are compressing a lot of information into these sessions so that you can make sense of it. Very different from quantitative coding. The main task of coding here is developing the analytical categories and using them to generate themes, narratives, or even a grounded theory of the phenomena. So this is the most important thing that we'll be doing. That when we have all those textual documents, we try and code them. Try to link a code into categories and the categories into themes. And that's what content analysis, thematic analysis is all about. Am I clear about that? And that is the main work of qualitative data analysis. Looking at these analytical descriptions, trying to make sense of what people are thinking, etc., etc., etc. What the document means, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, that is sentiment analysis. Looking at emotional themes, does it think of anger, does it talk of despair, does it talk of this, that, or whatever. Thinking of analytical themes. Am I clear? Tell me yes or no. Please tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Thank you. All of you conserving energy, all of you are very. Okay.
Come today morning, I think.
Uh-huh.
Today morning.
Oh, many of you have traveled a long time?
Many others like this. Night they have traveled.
Even I traveled 10 hours. And believe me, I was in a bad place called Delhi, where I could hardly breathe. I landed at 3 o'clock in the morning. The flight was just supposed to be at 10:30. At 6, I was back in my department. So I could hardly sleep for 2 hours. Anyway, that apart. But it's important. I mean, okay, we'll try and make it shorter. Or probably we'll end with that and then we'll come back and discuss all that. But it's important that you acknowledge these things. Or you tell me whether it's clear or not clear. So that helps me to decide whether I'll take it further or I will just stop there. So make sure that you have a lot of takeaways after this. So you must be very confident with what qualitative analysis is and how we do it. We create codes, and codes here are very different. When we come to Atlas.ti, it's all about generating codes and making use of those codes to make sense of the document. I'll use an NEP document and try to make sense of that. So qualitative analysis is coding, but the purpose is very different from quantitative coding. Computer is also writing a code or whatever, but that's different. Here we are looking at the analytical categories. Qualitative research is conducted through intense and often prolonged contact with participants in a naturalistic setting to investigate the everyday or exceptional lives of individuals, groups, societies, and organizations. So the internet is not very consistent yet, so we'll have to just live with it. Because at times it just goes off, but we are certain it will come back. So during that time, it's good that we can give our minds some break. So we will talk about your individual projects and all maybe later on. But it's important that and you will see that all these are taken from very important texts. There's a very important book which talks about, and the entire book is about having a different level of thinking. You see this thing called comprehensive modes of thinking for QDA. Can you see that 5-page thing? It's not there with you? No, Kadir, they didn't give you? You got angry with you or something? Very good. So the first thinking that we're talking here, and there are some very important things because that is what will help us to think about all the codes that we're talking about. So the first 3 pages we'll talk about here. And after this we'll go for lunch. Done? Yes. We reach an agreement that will only, otherwise I don't want you to accuse me of violating human rights, right? By torturing you with lots and lots of concepts. Anyway, I'm sure it makes sense to you. Does it? Yes or no? Yes. Louder please, yes or no? Yes. And it's totally democracy here. If you don't agree, say no. We'll try and make it useful. So the first way is categorical thinking. So we are organizing data into predefined categories to identify patterns and contrast. Patterns and contrast. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? It is getting from bad to worse, or is it getting from good to better, or something like that? And contrast how it was and what it has become. So that categorical thinking is something that we have to develop. So we can categorize students into disruptive or engaged or neutral or something like that. Or we can categorize patient symptoms into mild or what. We've been through COVID and we know what moderate and severe and mild and all that things. So that categorical thinking is important for qualitative data analysis. When we come down to thinking about codes, we have to think about categories, these analytical categories, right? This is a different approach, this is an important approach, this is a useful approach, and this is a separate way of thinking. And as all good Indians, we have to be good at everything. So we have to be good at qualitative also and quantitative also. A lot of those Westerners, they can be super specialists. For us, we don't have a choice. We have to be good at many things. And since we are good at many things, the world respects us a lot. Believe me, it does. The second is a narrative thinking. The same thing that I told you, that how people make sense of their lives through stories. If you ask somebody, people will talk about their life in terms of stories, about the world in terms of their stories, about their likes, their dislikes, and everything into their stories. So narrative thinking is again another separate way of thinking, where we are trying to understand human experiences through stories and uncovering meanings in sequences of events. Meaning in sequences of events. So how these sequences of events cause meaning. Or at what time people decide that I will not use that technology and use this. I will start using this more water resistant technology because at what time and why do they decide that? So that others, the policy makers, the communicators, the extension workers, they have a background to think about. And that's very, very important. I quit smoking in 29th October 2007. JD sir knows that because every time I remind myself, see, I become such a good person from 29th October 2007. And there have been actually, doctors who have spoken to me at length that how did you quit? I mean, because this is an example, so that is an example when you talk to people so that you can use it for other interventions. Because how I quit will be different from how Ranjan quits. Right? I don't know, I mean, it might sound bad. In our times when we were studying, it was girls who spoke more than the boys in our universities then. I don't want to make any judgment here, but that was the case. Nowadays people are a lot more health conscious, they don't do that. We were of a different generation. We thought that, all the Shah Rukh Khans and the Ajay Devgans and the Amitabh Bachchans, they smoke, so we should also smoke. That's a bad thing. But I said this is important because that individual output will give me so many things which a overall survey will not give me those things. So that's why that narrative thinking is important. So that's why, and I as a researcher must understand those narratives. And I've given examples of migrant narratives to identify themes of resilience, loss, hope, or whatever. So it could migrant could be interstate migration. It could be any kind of thing. Constructing plot lines to reveal a community's adaptation to change. So I've given examples and case studies. That's why you've been given that in a written format. I'll share a PDF of this also on the WhatsApp group after JD sir constructs it, so that we understand and we have these things with us. And this is taken from very, very standard texts. I mean, I haven't referred here, but in one of those things I've referred to all these things here. So it's not that I just one sweet day decided to make this. This is all dialectical thinking. Again, that's slightly philosophical, but dialectics is basically looking at the contradictions, thesis and the antithesis, the good and the bad. So how the good and the bad together bring out the thing. So that kind of thinking is all very, very important as well. Why we are doing all this exercise? Because when we write codes, we will need this. Otherwise, we will not think about any codes. If I show you just the answer you gave me right now and ask you to code that, you might not know how to code it. So we will need how to code it as well. Am I clear? Right. The fourth one is poetical thinking. Poetical thinking does not mean that you have to write poetry or you have to become poetic, but how metaphors or aesthetics or imagination or such kind of things are used to cause certain changes. Because a lot of our own ancient texts, they are about metaphors. They talk about the body as a cloth. So it's a metaphor. Am I clear? Our Upanishads and the Vedantas, they talk about the body as a cloth that you wear and you just share. When you go to another body, it's another piece of cloth you wear. So how you use metaphors to explain such abstract terms, or how whether you can have those metaphorical categories in our work and all. And then finally there is diagrammatical thinking, and that again is very, very important, looking at connections, looking at differences, looking at equivalences, looking at such kind of ideas and all. So as you can understand, I've tried to cover a lot of things in this 2 hours, because I think we must know what this is. We'll come back to all these things again. But I'm sure when we go down into coding, you will understand how and why these things are so very important. Otherwise, our ideas will not be very clear. So that's why we have laid so much of stress into this part. Immediately after we come back from lunch, I will talk about the coding types. If you can see that, there's another handout which is known as the coding types. So we will talk about the coding types, and then we will come to content analysis and introduce the software today. You might not need to download it today. Just explain it today. Tomorrow we'll start working on that. First of all, with the single data, I have an NEP document, and then with whatever you want to fill out. And then there are all the things in the software. So the next time you handle the software, you know what to do. Otherwise, when you see it for the first time, it might be very overwhelming. And I have 4 videos on that. I will share that also. So later on, you can work on that. It's a trial version. Maybe your university may think of buying it later time or whatever. But the trial version works for 5 days. And if there is one project that you want to work on the trial version. Come back again with another instrument, another ID, and have another trial version. We Indians are very good with that. Trying to find out, how to make the best of anything. And although that's illegal, but there are certain very standard texts. I have brought, this is the most well-known text. If you search on Amazon, this might cost 3,000 or 4,000 rupees. But I will do an illegal thing and you will not tell anyone. I will give you a PDF of this book also. It's called Qualitative Data Analysis with Atlas.ti, Suzanne Freezer. This is the most standard text. So I'll give you the PDF of that at the end so that you can work on that. And as the Vice Chancellor so rightly said, that you yourself can become master trainers for this kind of thing. Plus we are always there to back you in that kind of a thing. So we have all these things in plan, but it all depends on your energy. We draw from your energy. As I told you, we do work on a very, very hectic schedule. So if you are not energetic, and just so it has to come from you. All those questions, all those things, it has to come from you. Make the most of it because that will be very useful for you. I have no right to spoil your time because you are giving me something which is the most important. You are giving me your time. Everything is unlimited. Time is not. All of us have 80, 90, 100 years on this planet. Hopefully. I mean all young people. We don't know. So we have no right to spoil your time. You have to make the best of your time. And unless you enjoy this work, believe me, I mean this does not happen. A lot of people are spending a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of cognitive energy, a lot of trying to arrange this and that and all just so that you are empowered with this kind of tool. So unless you are motivated enough to make use of it, it will not be right for us. Because it takes a lot of effort for that. Jelly sir had given the option of having some other resource person by the side. I thought that might disrupt a few things. So I thought that no, I'll handle all that all by myself. It's easier for me so that we can cover all that. Otherwise, the way I do it, maybe the theoretical part somebody else might have done it in a different way. That's why we're doing it like that. So hopefully we'll make the most of it. As I said, I have lots and lots of time, but depending on your energy, we'll make the most of it. I'm not trying to scare you or something. If you want to just bide your time, probably it's not useful. So all these things are there. If you need anything else, let me know. We'll work on and off. I will also introduce you to ChatGPT. If you are already not working on that, you should.
They are very good in that. They are very good in that.
Okay, but how to make the best use of it? That's very important. Because what comes together? How to use it as an assistant, not as a master. How to use it as a digital assistant is required. So with that, I think we have earned our lunch for the day. so I think we can go for lunch. And when do we come back?
2:30.
So don't eat too much, otherwise you'll feel sick. No, I'm joking. Please do eat as much as you want. Thank you so much. You're so sleepy that you don't want to raise your hand.
ಹಂಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಹೇಗಿದೆ.
We can work on the software after the lunch break. Now we are still in the conceptual part. After the tea break. So after tea break I'll come to that. Before that I'll give you one small text for manual coding. And then in the final session today, we'll just introduce the software. Yeah, you can.
ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ಅವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರು ನೀವೇ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ 4 o'clock ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ರೆಡಿ 2:30 ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು 3 ಗಂಟೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ 4 ಗಂಟೆ
It's lovely, and because everywhere you go, you find some different. I was in Ahmedabad sometime back. Kathiawadi thali is so very popular. They also have. Now you might not know what we call brinjal. Nobody else in the world they call them brinjal. It's called eggplant. Only in Indian English we say brinjal. Nobody, not the Britishers, not the Americans, nobody calls them brinjal. They say eggplant. We have given an English name to that kind of a thing. All of you look extremely tired. No. You have not done anything. I should be tired. I haven't, shouting at the top of my lungs.
ಅಂತ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ ಬೇಕಂತ
So, what you will suggest me if you have some other options. What I'll do is we will discuss about the coding types now. Then I have a presentation on how to do content analysis. Then I give you a short one-page document for manual coding. You can do it on your mobile or you can do it on your page or whatever. You can write down and code it. Because before we get into Atlas.ti coding, I want to do manual coding. The same document I have also coded. I will also discuss how to code that, so that we get some idea or we must be on the same platform. Does it sound good to you or you want to do it some other way? Tell me. Yes or no?
Yes.
It sounds good, right? Are you all there? Everybody last page?
Yes, sir.
All of you look that you have eaten more than you should eat. Okay. I ate less because ma'am is there, she is my witness. She will tell you that I ate. And Jay Prakash is also there. He will also tell you that I ate only one roti. Okay, so as I told you that 3 days, and our friend here, your name again? Satish. Huh? Datta Niranjan. Datta Niranjan is already doing some qualitative data analysis work. So while we go along, I will ask him to share his work with you also, speak out so that we can see a very practical kind of interpretation of what the work is. So what I did, coding sounds very easy. हम कहते हैं coding करना है बड़ा easy है, लेकिन when I give you coding, you'll find it's very difficult. Things which sound very easy are not that easy. Please, all of you take this, and I've spent a lot of time making that, so please take this. Coding types. When you get a text can be a transcript, text can be open-ended answers like you gave in the morning, text can be a policy document, text can be any kind of conversation analysis, text can be anything. You understand that? So based on that text, we've already done the 5 different qualitative analysis approaches. You remember that? Grounded theory, ethnography, case study, phenomenological research, action research. You remember that? Yes or no? Yes. Please tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Wonderful. And we've also seen how qualitative analysis is so very different. It is naturalistic, it is descriptive, it is about text, it is about individual interpretation, so on and so forth. How ma'am will code will be very different from how this sir will code. So you don't have to bother about what the other person is doing. Your interpretation is your interpretation. But at the end of the day, we are all addressing the research problem statement. Why we are doing it? We have a research problem which we are trying to address using a qualitative data analysis approach where Atlas.ti is a qualitative data analysis tool. Am I clear?
Yes.
The most important person is me as a researcher. I have some research questions to answer. I have some research objectives to fulfill. I have some research problem statements to take care of. That is what I have. And on day 3, we will actually discuss your own individual research problems and statements and all. And for that, we might need some kind of coding. Does it make sense? Your name again, last. Both of you, your names. Vismaya? And? No, Vinayak and Bharat. Jay Lakshmi, you were not there? Okay, where is Narayan? Narayan is there? Jay Lakshmi is come, Narayan is there. Okay. Anyway, please pardon. The jokes are just to involve you. I don't mean anything bad to anyone. At times you must joke so that it doesn't get too serious. Am I clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Idea is not to make fun of anyone. You can make fun of me also. So. Descriptive or topic coding. That is the first kind of coding. I have given examples. I have given a lot of things. So please look at them. Is there in your thing? Descriptive coding involves assigning labels to data that summarize the basic topic of a message. We'll do this exercise. I'll give you a short 160 word paragraph. I'll ask you to code. So coding units can be different, and we'll discuss that also. Coding unit means, do we code a sentence? Do we code a paragraph? Or do we code the entire story? How do we code it? For example, in news stories, we can say that this is a political story. So an entire story is coded as one of them. One paragraph can have many number of codings based on what I'm trying to find out. It can be deductive based on code books that I already have. I'll share a code book with you also. And we can upload that code book. Somebody has already done that research. That code book exists. I am trying to apply that code book onto my work. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you now? All of you understand what code means? It's an analytical category, and you will understand more when you work by hand. So what is it that the work is describing? Is it talking about agricultural methods? Is it talking about development news? Is it talking about some micro loans? What is it talking about? So one of the ways of coding is descriptive or topic coding. I have given references there. You can see those references. The book by Saldana is very popular. In fact, I have a video called Coding for Content Analysis. I'll share that video in the group later on. I'm not going to talk about that. So, see the example there. It can be technology challenges, can be one of the coding. In coding, we are trying to find out a label. We are not using the words which are used there. We are trying to make sense of the words. So, there are people who are saying that we face difficulty with using software like Atlas.ti or whatever. That could be technology challenges. It could be student engagement, where the idea, and that is one important thing that we have to constantly keep on learning as teachers, how to engage students. So a student engagement could be one coding category or one coding way. Parental involvement. So different kind of things. Again, depends on my research questions. One same page will be coded differently for a research question that involves parental involvement, students, etc. And it will be different for somebody who is working on credits, loans, this, that, or whatever. The entire coding process has to depend on what my research questions are or what my problem statements are. Does it make sense, yes or no? Tell me yes or no, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you have to use the calories, otherwise you will get fat. Like me. I have 99 kilos. Just on the verge of 100. Resource shortages, emotional stress, team collaboration, policy changes. Again, limitless. But what I am looking at it. Very often, I mean, we jokingly say that often when we are content analyzing films, we find such things which the director did not even imagine. We as researchers, but we are free for interpretation. The poor director does not have that sense, he has not heard that word in his life, but we are interpreting it like that. It depends on us. So there are different ways of using it. Screen time, peer pressure, mental health impact, all those examples I am giving you, community partnerships, resource allocation, training initiatives, public perception. So the first type is descriptive or topic coding. Because believe me, these things will be very difficult when we just have a text. I give you an NEP document, you don't know what to look at. How will you know? Depending on what I am trying to look at. Agree with the first part? Topic coding, yes or no?
Yes.
Because when I explain any question, too much of agreement is not good for democracy. Process coding. What is happening? Process coding is basically what are verbs denoting ongoing action, interaction, consequences. So the dynamic nature of experiences. So that, again, I mean, everywhere you will not use all the types of coding. I have compiled all coding processes into one place, and if you see, you will find references there. Right? You will probably find that interesting later on. I have put it there, and at the last page also you will find, at page 9 you will find all the other references also. So, need not go into the references here, but just to tell you that these are all based on research work. Networking with professionals, so that is one coding way. So one of the things could be, you know, how people make use of Atlas.ti after a session like that, and if I ask you to write a paragraph on that, and if you tell me something like that, then one of my codes I will use is that some of the participants are using it for networking with other professionals. Updating resumes. Software known SPSS, Atlas.ti, this, that, whatever. That helps add on to your resume. So that again is one coding type. People are using it to update their resume, their CV. Attending job fairs. Probably here it's not too much of a thing, but there are many places where you actually there are offering jobs and you provide your preparing for interviews. So these are the process codings. Does it make sense? Does it?
Yes.
Because this is different from topic coding. So what is topic coding? So can you give me some more ideas of process coding? Any one of you? Searching, updating, lecturing. What else? What else? Any verb ending with ing, it is a process it's working on. What is it? What else? All our friends here, what's your name? Your name? Preeti. Anything to add to the process? Thinking. Thinking is one of the process coding. Anyone else? Khalid? Thinking is done, so you do something more.
Learning, teaching.
Learning, teaching, wonderful, sir.
Implementing.
Yeah, absolutely, implementing.
Training.
Wonderful. Anybody else? You have to interact, otherwise interacting. Otherwise, you know, this would become very difficult. If only one person is pravachaning and you are only listening, it doesn't mean too much of impacting. Wrong English, but deliberate. Anyone else? You have to participate more. Yes, Preeti, Pavitra. Who's Pavitra? You are here or you are reading this? Okay, so reading is another process coding. What else? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Unless we are into the vocabulary, this will not make a lot of sense, right? Leading. Yes. Sleeping. Yes. Of course. What else?
For this we can connect conducting.
Yes.
Analyzing.
Absolutely.
Experimenting.
Absolutely. So see, the actual words we have to interpret. The word is that I was, tired and I just dozed and this. Then you put sleep. I'm not using the actual words. You are using some synonym or something that describes the process. Right? Gita? Learning? Gita is learning or Gita is watching? Wonderful. You Gita, right? I'm searching for my RAM, whether my RAM is working.
This is why coding words,
Yes.
not the sentence, whole sentence.
No, we are having the entire sentence, but we are, or the paragraph. And that paragraph we are coding is as one of the processes. So all paragraphs will not have processes, but we are telling that this is one of the ways, that process coding is one of the ways. The earlier one was of description. So you have to decide. In fact, Atlas.ti gives you, chance to select how much you want to code.
Like a segment.
They call it quotations. And it is saved there because the software is there to help us. If you're doing it manually, then trying to look here and there and that. When we do that, you will see that. Tomorrow morning, the first exercise will be coding on anything. So that is it. Searching, adapting, learning, all that kind of rebuilding, accessing, reconnecting. All those things are process codes. But it need not be just one sentence. Reconnecting with community, accessing relief funds, accessing government grants, accessing softwares, accessing cracked softwares. Okay, that is not legal, right? Not allowed. Not on a central government platform, right? So take anyway, so the point is clear. In fact, if you go out and you talk to people, outside India, about all this, they're stopped from accessing all that. A lot of things that we can download, I can download a PDF and share with you. A lot of my American friends, they write to me to ask me to send my email because for them, all those sites are blocked. I'm sure you know of many of those sites. For them, they can't access it. We can access it. So this is, if there is something like that, what are the advantages of studying in Indian universities? One of them is accessing banned sites. Pirated sites. Okay, that's the right word. Initial or open coding. This again is very, very important. In fact, when we start coding, and that's why, this is very important. This is a very iterative process. What do you mean by iterative? We keep coming back again and we keep, doing it again and then whatever. Because after first reading or after first coding, we have exhausted, but it doesn't make sense. Because one thing, and I'm sure all of us will face that when we start coding it. Basically, when we are coding, what we want to do, we want the same code to appear in 4, 5, 6 different places. If every paragraph is a different code, then the coding does not make sense. Am I clear about that? Tell me yes or no. Say I have a document and every paragraph is a new code, so how does it help? One thing has been coded only once, doesn't make sense. I have to make codes which are recurring. That's how, or I have to find similar codes. That's how I'm looking for themes and categories and so on and so forth. When I talk about that, this will make more sense. So we begin with open coding and then we come back and we refresh and all. So in software it's easy. Just change it, then the entire document changing is done just like that. So that's why we start with initial or open coding, which is an exploratory process. What is exploratory process? What does it mean? MA students, exploratory process. What is exploration? Find out what is explore. I want to explore the location. You want to explore the city? Walk. Find out what is where. So when we get a document or when we are into a territory, we are trying to walk. But what are we guided by? We are not just going to walk here and there. What are we guided by? We are guided by the research question. Because when we are walking, we are looking for certain things according to our interest. If you are planning to buy cheap clothes, you are looking for shops and all. If you are planning to just visit some museums or all, you are looking for museums, this or that. So it's very important to keep the research questions in mind. Pavitra, Jyoti, where is Jyoti? Yes, anthropology. No, your name is not anthropology, you belong to anthropology. What's your research area? Are you doing PhD or something? What's your topic? Huh? Title is not decided yet? जोर से बोलिए, लंच सर ने बहुत अच्छा खिलाया है। Okay, psyche and culture. Psyche and culture. Society and culture. Okay. So there, qualitative will matter a lot because you will do those, descriptive interviews, and then you will find out, what they're doing and all that. What matters. Because based on yours, because society and culture based on certain inputs that you want, isn't it? On certain characteristics. So if you do all those detailed interviews, coding them, putting it into place will help you a lot. So that's important. So initially you start off with just these initial open coding where you're exploring based on my idea of society, culture, this and that. Otherwise, this is what I'm looking for. They might speak a lot of things. What if it does not gel with my thing? I'll ignore that. I will only take this part. Right? Sense of community, access to fresh produce. environmental concerns, employment opportunities. Can you see that? It's there, written down there. So just by looking at that, I'm looking at those kind of things what they're saying. Because if I just write down whatever they're telling me, it doesn't make much research. Research means putting that in a analyzable format. And if you are actually doing it, those kind of things, in many of the places there it's required that you upload the code book also. So whatever coding you have required, they will ask you if you're doing content analysis or thematic analysis or whatever, what is the code book? Right? Because there is something known as inter-coder reliability. I'll talk about that on the last stage. That if there are more than one people doing the same coding, I have to see whether everybody is coding the same thing. So there is a statistical test for that as well. Inter-coder reliability. We'll talk about Cohen's kappa and all that, convex alpha and all that. That's required. But let's not go so far. The point is, the coding must be consistent. Because whatever I'm trying to code as environmental concern, I will have some reason for that. That if this appears, code it as environmental concern. I will show you. We write comments in each code so that each code will be explainable. Am I clear about that? Yes. Tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Because when the codes are decided, there is a basis, there is a scientific basis for those codes. When I am coding something as environmental concerns, tell me what statement would be environmental concerns? You understand what is happening? Somebody is saying something and I am coding that as environmental concerns. So can you suggest what could be the statement? So the pollution is so bad that I could hardly breathe, so on and so forth. This is an environmental concern. I must have an explanation why this thing was coded as environmental concern. I must have an operational definition of that also. Every code book must have a description, so that when Shanmugam codes it again, he will know why Priyanka did it that way. Shanmugam, is it? Or Shanmukh. Okay, H. I'm sorry. So how do you spell it? S-H-A-M-U-K-H. Shanmukh. Okay. Is it right now? Thank you. So that he would know that this was the basis. Because we have to make it as reliable. I'm not getting into reliability, validity and all that right now, maybe later on. But it has to be reliable. Otherwise, coding does not make any sense. Now it looks like environmental concern, tomorrow I will write something else. No. That also does not mean that it can be only coded once. The same thing can be coded many times. As you said, pollution in Delhi. So I can also talk about Delhi, because one of my things that I'm trying to look at, one of the codes that I'm trying to look at is the National Capital Region. So I've coded as Delhi. I can also code it as air pollution because I'm looking at different kinds of pollution. I'm looking at air, water, this, that and whatever. Then this statement will appear into 3 different codes. It will appear as environmental concerns. It will appear under things that have been coded for Delhi. In fact, places and all coding is very easy. It will be done by the software. I'll show you. There is something known as named entity recognition. Anything which is named, and that's what ChatGPT and others do, but here it's straight. If there is a name, if there is a place, if there is an organization, it can be coded directly. Whether you want it or not, it is done. The control is yours, but you must know what is happening. Am I clear? I'm talking in the abstract, but we will do all that. What I'm doing is I'm preparing you all for what is to come. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. And Shanmukh has already given you software, has he? Sabko mila? He will give it to you all. He has the Atlas.ti software with him. Either you can download, maybe later on now, at your institute or whatever. Otherwise, he has with him, and he will give it to each of one of you. I downloaded it back home, and you have to give it a login and thing, so that you can use it for 5 days. 5 days over a 45-day period. 5 days does not mean that today, tomorrow, day after. If you use it today, 1 week later, another 1 week later, total 5 days out of 45 over a 45-day period is free trial. A lot of those AI inputs are not there because there is a limit for 500 MB. But I will show you how to do that AI part in ChatGPT, so you don't have to bother about using that part. So what are the 3 different codings we have discussed? One was, what are the first one? Descriptive or topic coding. What was the second part? Source coding. Third one is open coding. That just whatever comes to my mind, I put it, but I have an explanation for that. I have a reason for that code. As I said, we can do it two ways. Just listen to me. One, I am coding as I am going along. The other, the code is already ready in an Excel file. I have all an exhaustive list of code. Then I am just dragging and dropping those code onto the matter. I'll show you how to do that. So either the codes are developed in advance, or as I go on I code. But this is about how I code, how I go along when I code. So this is about topic. This is about open coding. So please read this part on open coding and tell me if you have anything. One of you read the last part of it. Another example. Vinayak, can you read it aloud? Page 3, another example, the last three things. Page 3, another example, the last one. In a study about teacher satisfaction. So the teacher is saying that you have to do syllabus, have to do grading, have to do this, have to do that, have to do that. And you put a coding that entire paragraph as, what do you call it? Workload management. Agree? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wonderful. Second? Right? What are the career? So the person does not use the word career advancement opportunities. You are using that word. What else? Clear? Make sense? Yes or no? Right.